How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
This message is brought to you by Abercrombie Kids, where the activewear is made for every summer activity, so your mini-me can bring their personal best. Summer days are always an adventure, from day camp to rec leagues and pool days. Abercrombie Kids has the shorts, tees, and swim to keep them comfy and keep up with them. Get everything for the entire summer at Abercrombie Kids. Shop in-store, online, or in the app.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show, and with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He has worked for WCW as well as numerous promotions. Pleased to welcome the American Giant, Buck Brezner. Welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Thank you, my friend. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. The pleasure's all mine. So tell me about your childhood. Where are you from?
Well, I was born and raised in upstate New York, Syracuse, New York. I was born on August 15th of 1969, my friend.
All right. Okay. Now, were you always a wrestling fan before you got into the business?
At first, I wasn't. I was mainly into basketball. Then one day, my father turned the TV on. We saw the wrestling on there, and I looked at it. I'm like, this is real interesting. And before you know it, it just started to grow on me since I was a little kid, probably about 12, 13 years old.
So you were always big into sports. You just mentioned basketball. Talk to me about your experience.
Well, I started playing when I was a kid in middle school, and I made the team throughout my middle school career and through my junior high career. And when I got to the high school level, I tried out for the JV squad. And at that point, I made the first two cuts, and on the third cut, I got cut from the squad, and that really, really devastated me. And I took one of those large garbage cans. I shot it against a locker in the locker room. And a friend of mine came in and talked to me one-on-one in private about it. And before you know it, everybody did not like it. And the next day, I got approached by a wrestling coach back in high school. And he introduced me to amateur wrestling. And he says, I can help you get to the professional wrestling level. I said, yeah, right. And before you know it, he said he went to college, Ithaca College rather, with one of the guys who used to work with back then the World Wrestling Federation. And I told him, I said, yeah, right. Because I thought he was with me at first. I go, who is he? He says he's really good friends with the late Gorilla Monsoon. And when you see him at the arena doing the TV tapings, you tell him I said hello. And I saw Gorilla. He acknowledged that he did know him. The next day, you know it, but the next day I went back to school, he snapped his fingers, he goes, told you. And word got back to him quick that I saw Gorilla. How? I don't know, brother. I said, okay, I'm ready to be trained as a wrestler. So that's exactly what I did.
That's amazing.
Ever since then, it was in my blood, ready to go, and things started falling into place after that.
Well, they say when one door closes, another one opens. You seem like you've been involved with athletics since childhood, and
Yes.
you'd mentioned you got into wrestling at such an early age. Who are some of the people you enjoyed watching growing up?
Well, first of all, would have been Andre the Giant for one. I also love watching the Superfly Jimmy Snuka, Bob Backlund, the Magnificent Morocco, Black Jack Mulligan. let's see, the Wild Samoans, Appa and Sika. They used to, I believe you, brother, when I first started watching them, they used to scare the hell out of me.
Mm.
And and the very first time
Amazing.
I ever watched it was back in spring of '78. My dad and I used to watch it from Madison Square Garden. It was Andre and Tito Santana scoring off against the Valiant brothers, Handsome Jimmy and his brother Jerry. And my dad used to hate the Valiant brothers, and I used to too. Every time I get upset with them, I just throw my pillow at the TV and say, "You guys, you're cheating, brother." And before you know it, the match is over. Andre and Tito got the victor.
I mean, it's that passion, when you see something you're not happy with, you just, you get frustrated inside, and just it's one of the cool things about being a fan is you're into these characters and
Yes.
you're so involved with it. So when you got into the business, it's a whole nother animal onto itself because you're training, you're putting the reps in, you're seeing firsthand how tough it is. But having that athletic background doing basketball and amateur wrestling, I'm sure that helped prepare you for the ranks of pro wrestling.
No, actually, it did, and I'll tell you why. When I graduated from high school, I kept on playing basketball as a workout, keep my cardio up and all that. And ever since then, back in December of 1990, I went to college to get my hotel degree, and that's when I first met the Nasty Boys, Brian Knobs and Jerry Saggs. They first came in, and they wrestled the Bushwhackers, if I remember right. I can't remember. That was several years ago. I was like, man. So I
Yeah.
talked to Knobs about several things, and he basically gave me the rundown, and he asked me who I was going to be trained by, and I forgot about that part of it. While I was back in high school, before I forget, a friend of mine who I grew up with, his mom and dad was good friends with Mike Rotundo, and I met Mike through another Syracuse University wrestling coach at the time. His name is Gene Mills, and I met Mike through him. And Mike gave him a letter to a friend of mine's mom, and I got the letter that day. He goes, "I want you to call the destroyer Dick Beyer, the late destroyer." And I'm like, "What the heck is this all about?" And I called him. He goes, "Buck, I understand you want to get into the business." I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, Mike Rotundo referred you to me." I'll be honest with you. I just retired from the business. I'm going to refer your file to another gentleman in Tampa, Florida. He says, "Have you ever heard a gentleman by the name of the great Malenko, Boris Malenko?" I said, "No, I haven't even heard of him." And he asked me, he goes, "You know who Gordon Soley is, right?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to refer your file to him. He will give you a call within 2 to 3 business days." Sure enough, brother, he called me. He and Boris and I had a really, really great conversation. He says, "If you can get down here, I want to send you over to Japan with Mr. Perfect, Big Boss Man, all that guys to get yourself an experience." Well, it didn't quite work out that way because I couldn't get my passport in time. And before you know it, ever since I started in Malenko's camp, man, I tried the whole athletic field changed for me. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
What were some things that you learned at the Malenko camp you took away and still apply to today?
Well, I took away the technical wrestling stuff because some of it I was able to do, but a lot of it I was not because of my body frame. But I did learn a lot of big man stuff, like how Hulk Hogan, all these guys, the big guys.
Yeah.
Uh, it's much easier on me. As a matter of fact, one time Boris came up to me in the camp one day. He says, "I want you to work out with Glenn Jacobs," and I said, "Okay." He goes, "He's going to teach you some things." Glenn is a great guy to work with, and we had a great match together. He taught me a lot of things that I would never even thought about. And he took his time. Now, this is shortly before he went to the WWE. And Glenn taught me a lot of things, and he says, "I'm going to be doing just fine." And so I had my very first match at the Tampa Sportatorium about 3 months after that, I think it was. Brother, I went to the top rope, dropped the elbow on one of the guys' shoulder blade, Boris Malenko comes up to me. He goes, "If you ever do that again, I will fire you right on the spot." Boris was very serious, as serious can be. And he's like, "You're too big for the technicals. I'm teaching you to be a giant, giant size." And that's exactly what I did. Never did it again. Ever since then, things started to work out for me really well. And today, it continues to do so today.
Yeah, when you're I mean, for a guy that's huge, 7 foot tall, you have to work a certain style, just like the
Yes,
cruiserweights have to work a certain style, and you have to really adapt because you're working with a variety of different opponents.
right, right.
And so, I'd imagine when you're in there working with a guy like Kane, Glenn Jacobs,
hmm
um, he's teaching you so much stuff. Um, were you nervous at all? Were you excited to be out making your debut? Or
It's a combination of both. I had the butterflies for a long time, and Glenn told me that it's going to happen when you first start. Just take a deep breathe in, breathe out, think about your match, and once you're in that range, a whole different ball game. The butterfly feeling is gone. And you're in there. Your mind's on your opponent, where you're going to be wrestling, and get the crowd involved the best you can. And yeah, basically that was it. Really, I mean, I'm used to it now. It's not even funny, and it really, really gets my blood going, and really, really keeps me going. I'm very thankful for that in a good way, by the way. But
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, you also got to work in WCW in the '90s as well. How'd you tell me about how you got signed with them?
well, the one of the booker actually one of the bookers came up to me and says, "Do you have your gear with you?" I said, "No, sir." And he says, "Would you like to tag up with Pistol Pez Watley to wrestle Scott Hall and Kevin Nash?" I said, "Sure." I said, "I'll do that. That's not a problem." I guess Pez's partner at the time had to work late or something. He couldn't make it. So I went back to my hotel room, got my gear, and they said, "You'll be going on Nitro in an hour and a half." I said, "Okay. We got to get you cleared through Paul Orndorff first." And Paul did clear it. And he was the road agent after he left the WWE. And Paul cleared it. And then we had the match, and it was a great, solid match. And even though I got beat up, so to speak, by Kevin and Scott, yeah, so to speak, it's the experience that I was looking for. Because you never know where this can take you in today.
Exactly. I mean, you getting to be on big time television,
Yeah,
prime time, getting that spot is a huge deal. And getting to
right.
work with guys like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, they're teaching you uh, many tricks and giving you tips about how to work. And I'm sure you learned a lot from them.
Oh, yes, I did. And after that match, Eric Bischoff and Arn Anderson came up to me. He goes, "You did a really, really good job, young man, and keep up the great work, and you're going to go places." I said, "I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much." He goes, "No, we thank you." So it was great.
It's interesting, when you hear about the super heavyweights and the giants in wrestling. There's just so many of them. You got Andre, you've got Big Show, you've got The Undertaker, you've got Kane, and all these different people and the styles that they're working with. It really is incredible to see the differences. And so you've gotten to share the ring with so many people over the course of your career. Who have been some of your favorite opponents that you got to work with over the years?
Well, I wrestled the late genius Lanny Poffo after he left the Fed. I got a phone call one day, and I just won the heavyweight title for a local organization in Florida called the WPWF. And the booker called me, goes, "Buck, would you be willing to defend the title against genius Lanny Poffo?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll be more than happy to." And Lanny and I had a great match, great scientific match. And this is what really, really touched my heart about this. Lenny, somehow I was knocked out by by one of the bad guys. He knocked me out with a chair or something, and Lenny pinned me. He goes, "You know what?" He goes, I can accept the match and everything else, but when it comes to him being cheated out, uh, I will hand over the title back. My name back then was the 7 foot Sasquatch. Sasquatch is still the WPWX champion, and before you know it, the following month, him and I had a tag match against those two guys who tried to take me out. And it wasn't really important as his father, the late Angelo Popo, great man. He was a legend. He was in our corner, and he said, you did a great job. So we got the victor over the tag match. I gave him the boot. Then he did his flip off the top rope. And whatever, 1, 2, 3, it was all done. And believe me, brother, that was a really, really great day. I had a great experience with it, and yeah, I enjoyed working, wrestling Lanny and tagging up with him. It was great. It was a great experience.
Yeah, I love hearing stories about the Poffos because they're
Yeah.
just so iconic, and being able to have that moment. I mean, it's got to feel good when you're
Mhm.
sharing the locker room with all these legends, and they're giving you advice, and they're teaching you, they're working with you. Um, there's no better feeling in the world.
And one of the other guys who I enjoyed wrestling, I've been wrestling with a lot of former legends from the WWE or WCW. I had matches with CB Offee, the cousin of Superfly Snuka, the Cuban Assassin Fidel Sierra, Nasty Ned Brady, a whole host of others. And brother, I tell you what, just like Snooker used to say, I'll repeat it again. You got to have respect for each and every individual professional wrestler. But this is where my problem comes in. You cheat, I'm going to try and shut you down as quick as I can. It's that simple. I have a lot of respect for all the wrestlers. They're great. They came out of somewhere, and a lot of the wrestlers are great wrestlers. They're great talent. And the most important match I ever had, and I want to have one more match with him, is indeed the Cuban Assassin. Um, you know, there's something about him that he likes to get in there and mix it up and cheat to win. And, I don't go for cheating. No, sir. Great wrestler, great. He's been around a long time, great athlete. And, but the cheating, I got a problem with that, brother.
What do you feel like is what do you feel like makes a great wrestler in your opinion?
Training hard, having a good heart to put it in, dedicating to the sport, and just learning all the time. Here I am 32 years later in the business. I'm still learning things every day. It's the truth. But hard work, dedication, and have a good heart to do it, do it right. And that's what really gets me.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about some of the stuff you've done outside of wrestling. I know you've done a lot of charity work, have been involved with so many different causes. What kinds of things have you done over the years to help out in your community?
Well, first thing, on my main job outside of wrestling, I'm a residential caregiver in a group home who I work with clients who have behavioral issues or health issues. I help them out. That's my main job at the moment. I'm also a motivational speaker about bullying. I cannot stand bullying, brother. Number one, this world is a world of peace, not bullying, where people go around beating people up. And I'll give you a little example. I was in Denny's one time in Florida, not too long ago, rather. These three teenage boys came in, and you know how they mess. Excuse me. You know how they mess around after school, have fun, whatever.
Hmm.
And I caught an eye. I thought something's wrong. Something's not right with this picture here. And I thought, let it go, whatever. 2 minutes later, after they came out of the restroom, two of them started beating this one kid up in the aisleway near the register. I'm thinking, excuse my language. I said, "Oh hell no!" And they ran out the door. I forced the door open, and with my deep gimmick voice, I said, "Hey, break it up!" They all looked at me. I said, "Do you guys mind telling me why you're beating up on this young man?" They could not answer me. I said, "I'll put it to you this way. This is a place of peace where people come in and eat dinner and whatever. If you guys do this again, there's two things are going to happen. One, you can walk in peace and never see each other again. Or two, I will call law enforcement and have you kids arrested and put you in juvenile. This is a place of peace, not torment. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One started mouthing off. I said, I don't want to hear the mouth off. This is the deal. One of them afterwards, and this is no joke, one of them looked at me after. He goes, excuse me, can I ask you a question? I said, yes. Are you the American Giant? I said, yes, I am. And before you know it, they went their way. And the one kid looked at me and says, thank you very much. I said, well, I said, you're very welcome. I said, just be careful who you make friends with. Always be careful. And whether it's that or mentally or even verbal abuse, bullying, that doesn't go very well with me at all. So anytime I try to get bookings to talk about bullying, how it can affect a person in different schools. So I'm also doing a motivational speaker on that as well. That's one of it. And I'm also a big time church goer and just try to help people in the community. It's one of the top things I enjoy doing. It's a gift.
What a powerful story. I mean, bullying is never okay in any shape or form, and the
No, it's
fact
not.
that you're able to stand up to them, uh, kudos to you.
Exactly.
It's just you just it's hard to see people that are suffering and that are going through something in their life, and
Right.
uh, it's never okay to take it out on others, and it's amazing how you're able to stand up to those guys.
And I had this one more motivational speaker in the middle school in, what was it? Not Lakeland, but Brandon area. All the kids loved it, and all the kids were like asking a bunch of questions. I said, guys, look, God gave you a gift to do anything in life. It may not be wrestling, it could be music, it could be art, it could be teaching. Use that gift. Teach others. That's the most important thing. What I do inside that square circle, it stays there when I'm done until the next round. And that's it's just how it is. But other than that, it's just the way it is, man. I said number two, if you see the WWE on TV, I strongly advise you do not try to do these moves on one another. You can either hurt them, and honestly, you're going to possibly kill them, especially backyard wrestling. And one promoter called me, and you'll be like, what? One promoter called me asking me if I want to wrestle a backyarder. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're calling a 32-year vet asking me if I want to have a backyard match in the ring and in a major arena? I said, no, I refuse. I'll deny it. Well, why not? Two reasons why not. Number one, he's not properly trained. And number two, somebody's going to get hurt. I refuse it. Done. That's not the way it is. Yeah, if they don't like it, sorry, my answer is no.
What is it about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
Them learning and them applying it in their lives, asking questions, how to do things, seeing results. There are people out there who cares about what's being done. There's other people who don't care. And for the ones that don't care, I just continue to pray for them, hoping that they change their attitude, But for the ones who learn and wants to grow and learn, that touches me personally. And that's a great thing.
When you're talking to these people and giving these speeches, I'm sure the kids are inspired by you and what you're telling them, because it's just kindness just goes a long way in life.
It really does. My good long friend, um, Mark Merrill, Johnny B. Bad, he has his organization.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mark is doing a tremendous job. He does, he and I has that thing in common. Speak to the people, trying to help them out, even the kids. Kids growing up in school, that's where it all starts, man. If you don't have the leadership in your home, they lead by example, then problems will create. And it's like, just, just help them out. I mean, they're human beings just like we all are. It's just that simple. And Mark's done a tremendous job with his organization. I commend him for it. God bless him, man. I mean, I've known Mark for a long time. Him and I were both up from Syracuse area, Central New York, and God bless him. He's done great. He shared testimonies what he went through, and God's changing his life as well. I mean, I commend him. I tip my hat off.
When you talk to these kids, after you're finished talking and giving your speech, did they come up to you? Do you hear from them? Any reactions?
Yes, sometimes I do get reactions. As a matter of fact, about 2 weeks later, I think it was, I got a big envelope with a bunch of letters in it from the kids. We really, we really appreciate you coming in. We loved it when you came in and shared stories and all this and that. Thank you for helping us, and they received it pretty well from what I understand. And that really, really touches me, because that means I'm doing the work that's supposed to be done. And if I don't do it, then who's going to do it?
I mean, children are the future. They are
Right.
they are the next generation, and we have to tell them and teach them the right way. Teach them right from wrong, because you could be lost not knowing what to do in certain situations. And so
That's true.
we gotta get as many people out there to explain why this is not okay. Bullying is never acceptable.
No, it's not. And I finally told those kids that day, number one thing, what I encourage you to do is keep God in your life. Keep him first and foremost, and let him bless you with the gift that he's going to bless you with. And, I'm not a preacher or anything, but I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat the Bible, because the Bible is what it is, and it's the truth. It's his word. And, our Lord led by example throughout the time he was alive. And it's very important. The kids need to learn this stuff. And they're in the world of darkness. A lot of them are, and they need to see the light and learn the truth.
It's what we got to do. It's keep on doing that, and spreading positivity to other people, kindness. This has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you, Buck. I want to say thank you for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you and what you're doing?
Well, you go on Facebook. My manager created a page. Go to the official website, the American Giant Buck Brezner website, or you can go to my personal page. We share the information together in case someone misses it on one, they can catch it on the other. And if they like to message me, that'll be fine. I have no problem with that. And basically, if any bookings that comes out, they can always private message me and give me a call anytime. I mean, I'd be more than happy to come out and wrestle in the match and just keep doing what we're doing, man.
All right. Well, thanks again, Bucky, and you're more than welcome to come back.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care.
You do the same, my friend.
Bye-bye. This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.